Hello everyone, good evening. I would like to start with the story of an astronaut. And this story is not about his mission to space, but this is about his return. When astronaut returns to Space Center, he was medically checked, biologically checked, he was tested and allowed to go home. To way to his home, he sits in this car. He was amazed. He couldn't see the car, what it was 20 years earlier. He receives a video call in the car, and car can receive that video call by itself. As seeing a screen, a thin, he couldn't see the technological advancement which happened in the space can happen in the car itself. He reaches his home, looks at a video door phone, goes into the kitchen, looks at the silent chimney, goes in the bedroom, sees the experience. He was startled. He was amazed that how life has changed in the last 20 years. He questioned himself also. Am I going to lag behind something in 20 years? Am I going to fit in the change which happened in the last 20 years? One fine day, he receives a call from his school. His teachers ask him to deliver a session in one of the class. He goes to school and feels pleasantly calm. He goes to classroom. He was very happy, but questioned also. He sees the same classroom when he was studied there. He sees the writable surface on the same position when it was 20 years ago. He could see the desk and benches, rows and columns in the same way. He was seeing the lecture was delivered in the same way. He questioned the teacher, how's the class going? And teacher swiftly smiles and put across, we are finishing the 15th chapter of physics. And you think, is this the purpose of education? Are we focusing on delivering a content where we might not bother who's receiving what? Is this how learning going to happen? Do we really need to question about how learning has been designed, how learning has been inside the spaces? Here he thinks again, space about like jails. So if I see schools and jails, there is very strong similarities. You see a corridor, you see a room here, you see a room there. By design, schools have been designed for command and control. So as jails. We have big palatial buildings. If you see the institutes today, they are very beautifully architecturally done. But if you see the classrooms, are similar. Is this calling for liberalizing the education and education spaces? Do we really think that we need to change how we pursue education or education spaces for that matter? I'll tell you some key facts. Today, if you see suicidal death rates because of fear of examinations, if you see mental disorders, psychological disorders in schools because of the kind of pressure we are being trained to, okay? If you see today's learners who's focusing on the rat race of achieving something, following some competition, is there real learning happening there? I tell you some more version of how do we see today's times. It is not only about technological advancements, but think what we know about learning today, how our brain functions. Okay? I'll ask you what was the best and the worst thing happened to you in 5th class? And it immediately comes to you like this. How does that happen? Why our emotional responses comes to us right away? So research says we have an amygdala, which is emotional sensor of the brain, and that stores the information in brain cells. The moment it connects, you can have it connected. We heard storytelling is an amazing way, and researchers had figured out this part of our brain science viewed into stories. The moment hyper emotion comes, we can store information. A girl who can remember 1 lakh words, 1 lakh alphabetical numeric numbers, had designed every number to a character. She weaved a story around it and she can learn that. Think of the power of it. Think of the power of the researches. How a thought forms in human brain. How we connect a thought. It is interdisciplined. It is multidisciplined. We think about something and we go somewhere else. How does that work? How does it can be included in space and learning both? Do we allow multiple disciplinary learnings in classrooms? We are strongly attempting and researching on key elements of this. We are seeking how physiology can impact learning, how fatigue can impact learning. When we are tired, can we be physically and mentally present in the same space? When we don't have enough breathing to our body, a sweat is not released properly, can we focus on learning? What is the level of blood pressure which is needed for learning? Can I be physically and mentally present in the same time? Another thinking which we do and understand is how pedagogy impacts learning spaces. Think of it, if I wanted to learn something right now, I'm curious, I really want to know it. Can I read it right away? Or should I wait for my library period to come and go to library and read about it? If I want to learn or do something, can I do right away? Or should I wait for my laboratory period and go and experiment that? Can we break all the walls? Can we remove the corridors? Can we invite library inside the classrooms? Can we invite laboratories inside the classrooms? Can we allow someone to sit on the floor, someone to stand? Today's workforce needs very different key components. They are flexors in approach. When we hire today, we see people are coming with their own choices. They do not want to work on certain hours. They do not want to work on sitting on chairs. They want to choose to sit on floors. They want to choose to sit on maybe not even floors. They want to have beanbags. Their choices are immense. Today's workforce also comes with purpose seeking. If you don't have a purpose, they might not join you. Also along with that, if you see, they are doers. They are also teamers. They come with some certain specializations and they want others to have that. They want to collaborate and learn and collaborate and work. But how does we do in our spaces where we are preparing them for competition? How collaboration can be in the classroom spaces? So what we are trying to do is studying surfaces, materials, colors, acoustics, sounds, reverberations, absorptions, how all that can make impact in learning. I'll take you to one of the slides which actually shows how we really go to the core of learning, how we design spaces where there is no corridors, where everything is right away. The whole objective of doing it, why cannot we invite, or why cannot we go to the idea of bringing world outside inside the classroom? Why we cannot make our classrooms a laboratory where we can let them experiment in the way they want, because they can be prepared for the world outside. So if you see this space, everything is intertwined. There are no corridors. Okay, all of one can go to from one area to another area. You can have studios, you can have experimentations, you can have laboratories, libraries, all of them are the part of it. So how we can break those barriers, make space as catalyst, a change agent, and foster the creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, communication inside these spaces. For me, a strong quote by Pablo Picasso had changed my version of life. I could see my gift, and my gift was revolutionizing the education spaces. And this quotation had given me that meaning. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. And I feel if we can create spaces, provisions for real learnings, we can let every kid know his gift. That's all. Thank you.